government of the Federal Republic of Germany says it is prepared to help Ghana restructure its external debt only if some internal conditions are met. President Akufo-Addo a fortnight ago appealed to German Finance Minister Christian Lindner to convince China to accept the country's proposal for debt forgiveness. In less than 48 hours, Ghana's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is leading a government delegation to the Asian country to restructure $1.7 billion out of a total of $5 billion debt that we owe. Now, responding to the questions on whether Germany will use its diplomatic relations to help Ghana upon President Akufo-Addo's request, German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Kroll, in a yet-to-be-aired interview on Foreign Affairs, told host Blessed Soga that a lot of political commitment is needed to fulfill the conditions that will make the Paris Club forgive Ghana its external debt.
Giving your own challenges, unique challenges that you're facing as a result of the Russian-Ukraine war, the Nord Stream 2 obviously suffered an impact as a result of this conflict. So given the situation, do you share the same view that you're not in a position to help in the economic recovery of some African countries and allies of yours, such as Ghana?
You mentioned the visit of our Minister of Finance, who recently had talks in Ghana. And his message was clearly, yes, we are prepared to help.
Right.
But we are prepared to help only if certain conditions are met. First of all, we insist that those measures that can be taken here in this country have to be taken. The second condition is that, yes, we are willing to take our share of responsibility as one of the major bilateral donors to Ghana. But only if all the others also join in this effort. And there is a multilateral framework that was set up exactly for these kind of crises. And we urge and try to convince all stakeholders in this process to stick to this agreed framework. It's the G20 common framework.
But that framework, I'm afraid, Mr. Ambassador, is facing some setback, especially on the part of China. Our president was very categorical in that statement when he engaged the finance minister from your country. He's asking for the help of Germany to navigate that hurdle with China when it comes to the Paris Club. Practically, what's your country going to do in that regard to help?
Well, I think we all have to try to convince China also to take its share in this process. China is the largest bilateral donor to Ghana, so China has to be part of the solution. Now, Ghana has its means to convince China to do that. We, Germany, will also use our channels to convince that it is in our common interest that we all agree on a way forward, including in the interests of China. So this is the only way we can try to get China to the table. Your president is rightly referring to the case of Zambia, where it took very, very long until China in the end agreed to come to the table. We hope that this time, with a concerted effort, we might be capable of convincing China to shorten this process, because time is of the essence in the case of Ghana.
When you were speaking, you talked about some internal mechanisms that as a country we could deploy as our side of the bargain, just to complement your efforts from the international community. And looking back, looking at the country where we were rising economically and now there's a downturn, how do you feel we could be fulfilling our side of the bargain as part of the internal conditions you feel we could be meeting?
Let me point to three elements. Right. The biggest loss maker in Ghana is the energy sector. In this sector alone, each year 1.5 billion new debt is piled up.
Wow.
So if that is not solved, then you can ask the IMF for 10 billion. You still will not solve the problem in the medium term. So there has to be an answer in Ghana to the 50% technical and non-technical losses in the energy sector. If that is not resolved, I don't see how we can find a sustainable solution for the financial problems of the country. The second part is on the other side of the budget, and that is the revenues. Ghana has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios, not even 13%. So we have been cooperating with the local authorities and setting up a very smart system of property tax collection. So I think that is an important way forward, and this has to be done, and processes and decision making has to be faster to meet the goals, to be able to meet the targets that have been agreed with the IMF. And the third point I want to raise is that I'm still amazed on the procedures for how the budget is set up, and how difficult it is to get it under